But let me just get the link to share with Morgan and everybody. Okay. Okay.
I'm in the chat.
Okay. All right. Can you sit on the thing so we can see you and not just your forehead?
There.
Okay. So hello. It's been a while since we've done a live stream. We've been really busy. I've been overwhelmed with school. It's always funny how we always look crooked. Like we're always like we're on a hill, like we're in San Francisco. Yeah, so it's been really busy with my program. My program's a lot. I actually had validation the last few months. I went to go get my eyes checked, and the eye doctor was like, "Oh, what's your program?" And I said, "Library and Information Technology." And they're like, "Oh, that's intense. My friend did it." And yeah. And then our friend Adam came to visit him, and his husband was like, "Oh, what program you are in?" I told him, he's like, "Yeah, I'll just stick with education administration." So it's been kind of validating that this program is super intense. But I love it. Um, Research is kind of slowed down because of it. So our uh, Patreon stuff, we've just been kind of helping them learn how to do research and talking a little about that. Um, we have a research Q&A next week that is for patrons only, and I was gonna do kind of like talk about the whole hollow earth thing and dreaming and geologic stuff, but I'm having trouble finding a lot other than the stereotypical stuff, so I'll try to pull something. So if Morgan, you're watching this later, definitely if you know any kind of like, like the famous oracles and oh, I should text them directly. Famous oracles. Oh, I gotta take my pills too. Take your meds. This is a reminder to take your meds. Um, um,
I'm in the chat so that if anyone has questions, I can relay them.
so yeah, I'm trying to find that. Let me just take my meds so that I take good care of my heart. We need me around for my heart. So take your meds. Did you remember to take your meds? um, yeah, so I've just been the last few weeks trying to binge finish this book. It's not a very big book, but it's a lot of information. So trying to write it all down so I can find later. City in Color by Wong. I really like this book. She's a really good storyteller. Like it's a lot of information, but you enjoy reading about it. And reading this book, I've gotten a lot closer to Victoria because I grew up in a very conservative town. And so when you're studying the history of Victoria, This place is very different.
Mm-hmm.
This place was founded on multiculturalism. So I'm going to use my phone on my just to make it easier to bring up notes, but I'll kind of go over like so BC was the Wild West for a long time. Like if you haven't been to BC, um well really if you haven't been hiking in BC, like real hiking, not like, just the nice manicured parks. Our underbrush is like very rough and hard to get through. There's moss covering everything. There's ferns everywhere. There's random boulders everywhere. And so it was really rough terrain. And also like our rivers, a lot of our rivers are not for the faint of heart. So
You
for the
can
long
easily get taken away by them.
yeah, so for the longest time, it was mostly the French voyageurs and Hawaiians and Métis who came and settled the West. They built the forts. They did all of the Hudson Bay stuff, except for the people who are in the higher stations were always, white men. Favorably British, but also they would allow Irish and Scottish to be in places, positions of power. And they really, the Hawaiians, um, there is not a fort that Hawaiians' hands did not help build between Astoria, Oregon, and Vancouver. So uh, there was actually so many Hawaiians. We actually pulled so many Hawaiians from the islands onto Hudson Bay and Northwestern Company, NWC ships that they were actually like maybe we shouldn't be doing this anymore. But of course Hudson Bay didn't listen and they kept pulling Hawaiians. We actually had a Hawaiian consulate here. Where the Empress was Kanaka Row. They called them Kanaka. Let me hold it. I believe that means the people. I'm just gonna pull it up. So I'm giving this correct. Victorian color. Now, how do I? Okay, yeah, I know a lot has changed. Thank you. Document outline. Perfect. Hawaiians. Okay. It means person or human being. So that's what they would call them. Um, let's see. I can't I don't have it on here, but there's a holiday that is the day that James Cook was killed, and it's celebrated, and I love that. So yeah, we don't like colonizers here. So yeah, so Hawaiians built everything. And the other thing is like the Métis obviously were heavily involved in this area. Um Out west, we didn't have the societal norms of back east. So indigenous couldn't be very high up in status, but they could live pretty equally to the white people in the forts. And in fact, Amelia and Marguerite, so Amelia Douglas, and let's see what.
First premier's wife.
Yeah, I just want to get, I always forget Marguerite's. Um, okay, so here's Amelia. Do. Okay, father was blah, 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 blah. That's her dad.
Just to let you guys know, when Sarah does research, she writes an entire new book about the book
Here we
that
go.
she.
I always forget her last name. So Marguerite Waddens McKay, and she was the Métis wife of Chief Factor John Dr. John McLaughlin. And that was in Fort Vancouver, which is in present day Oregon. I believe Fort Vancouver is the Astoria, Oregon one. I'm not sure. But, anyways, so a lot of people of color would come out west because they had more
Freedom.
freedom, right? And also, funny enough, later when Victoria was being established, James Douglas, who, by the way, is half Irish
Yeah.
and half
African Canadian.
no. So his mother is a free woman from Guyana. I apologize. I'm not sure what the term is for people from Guyana. So she was a woman from Guyana, a free black woman. And Amelia was Cree and Irish and French. So James was really, really worried about Americans coming in Vancouver Island during the gold rush. By this time, is it the 37th parallel, right?
Yeah.
The 37th parallel had already been established, but Victoria was still kind of the Wild Wild West. Like, it was building up as a city, but outside of Indigenous people, we didn't have a lot of people. And there were so many Americans who were flooding in and made them really nervous. They could take Vancouver Island by force and we wouldn't have enough people. So a lot of different things were done. But one of the things that were done was California was a free state for a very long time. I think it was the whole time. But around, let's see, when was that? Just gonna I need to. Sorry, I'm just going through because I've been reading a lot very quickly. Um, Black colonists. Here we go. Okay, starting in the 1850s, there were people who were trying to push more racism towards Black people,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was a free state. And so Douglas saw an opportunity. He offered, because there was a lot of these people who were experiencing violence, and um, if if someone broke into your home or you broke into your store and stole a bunch of stuff and you were Black, you couldn't take them to court unless there were white witnesses willing to back you up. So Douglas was like, okay, here's these people who are trying to start a new life, some who are very successful businessmen, and I'm trying to build the city. So he invites them to Vancouver Island and they start settling the island. There is a little bit of, I do need to say that. So James Douglas did negotiate treaties. I've heard that he broke treaty. I haven't read anything to figure out what is going on with that. And they were allowed to preempt the land. And basically, what that means is they would do a treaty or gently, kind of forcefully encourage the indigenous to go away. And then they would come in and they would work the land and build buildings, and after so long they were able to when they proved the land, they were able to buy it for $1 per acre. So I just want to, this isn't the land of perfect and gloriness and whatnot. um yeah, okay, I just need to step away a minute. Can you take over and do awkward AJ?
Awkward AJ time?
Yeah.
Okay. So I get to do awkward AJ time. Um, so when Sarah does her research, she really goes to town because her notes are copious. Basically, she writes an entire novel about the book that she's reading. And well, when you have a book as thick as this, how many pages is it? It's not too bad. About 330 pages. But other books that we've done work on, um, uh, Weird Egypt by Jim Jung. She did an entire new book about it, basically 60 pages of notes. Um, we talked to Jason Andrews about that, and he was in awe of the amount of research she did for that one book, and he's been trying to expand upon it. So if you can look up his work and Paranormal Patio. Um, on other notes, we're working on uh, an episode on Mojave, a Mojave indigenous tribe, um, the Chimawave. Don't quote me on this. I may have said it wrong. Chimawave or Wavy. I don't know the language well, so I will learn that when we introduce them. And I'm sorry for mispronouncing it. So we're going to do an entire episode about their culture, history, uh, spiritual practices, all kinds of good stuff coming up. When we do this work, where Sarah is going to school for information and library technology, there's a lot of work that we have to do in behind the scenes to properly catalog what we're doing and to try to speak responsibly about what we're doing. Um, so keep tuned. More stuff is coming. We're we're in the process of a lot of things. We're doing uh, our podcast, another podcast with a partner, and two TV shows that we're working on.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
All right,
Okay.
I've updated you on a bunch of stuff.
So this book is really good. So black colonists helped settle this island. The thing I love about this book is women had a lot more equal rights. Well,
They
it's
weren't
not
really equal
necessarily they
rights.
had
They had
more
more
equal
freedom.
rights. They had more freedom, and men weren't as big as about enforcing that stuff because it was the wilderness and they just didn't have time for petticoats out here, to basically to put it. Like Marguerite and Amelia, like they helped with midwifery, they helped with illness, they helped uh deal with pelts, they were in canoes, they were like, and so uh the what first female landowner, and I can't remember, um so let's see, I think it was black colonists. No, it wasn't her. Grandson. I've been reading so much, and so it's
She
just
has
like
so many notes. How many pages of notes do you have?
I don't know. It's because it's electronic. But we had our first female landowner in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Um, and there's one woman who so I don't know the song, and I should have wrote the song down. I realized that. Such an idiot. But let's see. It's not Winnie. Not that one. That's working for the company. Working 9 to 5. Dun, 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 dun. Ah,
There we go.
Maria Mahoy. I loved her. I was doing write writing my notes on her, and the song came out, and it described her first marriage perfectly. Her first husband was a big loser who abandoned his kids, and she so her father was William Mahoya, who worked for HB and moved to Salt Spring Island. Um, they don't know who her mother was, but they believe her mother was at least part indigenous. She bore 13 kids and was a midwife. So her first husband was whaling captain Abel Douglas, big loser. He's men like him or why women don't want to get married today. He was in his 50s and she was 15. And don't say it was different back then. You were a creep then, you're a creep now. Like, no. Um, they he would be gone for long stretches of time. And then he left his family in the early 1890s and never returned. He died in Seattle. Um, her second husband was George Fisher, who was a neighbor and a father. And his father, Edward Brant Fisher, had been from a well-off English family. His mother, Anne Rollis Stomet, was indigenous. Um, and George was sent to be raised by a Catholic priest because his father died, and so they want him to have an English relationship. But he reunited with his mom in his mid 20s, and Maria met him on Silver Spring, and so they were very happy together, but their neighbor, William Homa, a Hawaiian and a neighbor, when he died, he willed his home to Maria on Russell Island. Um,
That's interesting.
yeah, and she used and she taught her kids all the Hawaiian words she knew. Um, she believed in Tamanos, Hawaiian guardian spirits. She had a psychic ability to predict events and could read the wind to fill her sails with just a whistle. Um, Taught her kids the few Hawaiian. Oh, I already said that. Was at home and sea and paddled her canoe everywhere and used a sail for long distance and taught her kids to swim. And sometimes descendants are at the museum on the Gulf Islands to welcome people. I love her.
That's
I
awesome.
imagine her like a total badass, like Moana. Like I love Maria. But yeah, women who came out west, there was very few petticoats here. This was like I love how Mary or May, sorry. I don't know why I keep wanting to call the author Mary. May, um she made a point to describe Amelia in her like buckskin pants and moccasins, and it's like, yes. But Amelia Douglas was great. So she spoke only French and a little bit of English, and she uh embraced her indigenousness, her, her indigenous,
Heritage.
yeah, indigenous, her indigenous. It's a weird academic word, but she embraced being indigenous. And when her husband James became politician, she had a really hard time because she was an outdoor girl, like taking care of the sick, midwifing, helping with HBC with all the furs and the canoes and all that. And she suddenly had to be in this high society and whatnot. But the entire time she was in office, she fought for Indigenous rights. And anytime Indigenous people would come to her door and be like, I have salmon, I have fur, she would be like, okay. And she would trade them a crate of um fruit. And there's another family, like many of the founding families were mixed indigenous, and they had a relationship with indigenous. I just read one where like the family had witnessed multiple times uh, violence with indigenous, and they were they moved from Salt Spring because more violence. So like it does happen. Like, not all people are good. Some indigenous were friendly, some weren't, right? But a lot of the founding people of Victoria were part indigenous, or their family, their grandparents' parents were part indigenous. And so like I hear like, well, Douglas broke treaty and stuff. So there's still, so I need to still read more, because what I'm reading in this book and the way it was presented to me when I moved here is very different. I was like, well, Douglas was mixed race. Like, it's very different. And what I think it is like I'm on Facebook is a hot mess. Like, let's just be honest. But there's a couple groups I'm on because they talk about like they'll show pictures of like Victoria, or someone be like, "Oh, look, I found this old flyer from the restaurant," or like I have this old uniform. And so it's very cool for me to see. Always they talk about, well, what about the white history of Victoria? What are you talking about? Like in this case, white history in Victoria is the minority. A lot of people were mixed race. A lot of people were not white. And so I love this book because it embraces it, and it shows that the city was built on multiculturalism. And it makes me so happy because like we just opened our first Black community center in I don't know how many years, a long time. We have the Métis Friendship Society. We're going to volunteer tomorrow at the Queer and Trans Farmers Market. And so I feel like this city is kind of like finding itself again, finding where it was when back in the roots. Only it's better now as we have laws so that not only are we embracing multiculturalism like the common people were back then, excuse me, there are laws to ensure that uh, the people actually have equal rights. So, because we all, so like if you don't know, like the Chinese, they had to be segregated even in death. And so that's why we like when you go to Russell Bay or Ross Bay Cemetery, it'll be Chinaman number 1, Chinaman number 2, which is absolutely atrocious.
It's atrocious, yeah.
But that's so I'm not done the book, so I haven't gotten to Victoria Chinatown yet. I'm just finished the chapter on Black colonists. So now it's going to start talking about like Chinatown and the kind of secretness of it and stuff. I do need to debunk something because I'm really getting sick and tired of it. There are no tunnels in Victoria. There are no tunnels in Victoria. It is a legend and it is folklore. It's not true. Stop it. Also, Craigdarrow Castle is not the most haunted castle in the. It's not really haunted. It's got residual hauntings, like memories that's replaying. Please stop. If you are an influencer, I love that you want to tell the history. Tell the real history. There's someone I'll have to find on who's on TikTok. We'll have to give a shout out. She actually came. I don't know if she's from here, but she went to like the Victoria Chinese Cemetery and talked about the real history. And she goes downtown and talks about the real history. So
no.
There are no tunnels in Victoria. Craigdarrow is not like this super dark, scary castle. And actually, when you go into Craigdarrow, like Robert, that was the first guy.
Robert.
Robert wasn't an angel. Like no,
he not was, by any means. But he was a very haunted man.
Yes, but when you go into that castle, it has a very warm and welcoming feeling. Like
I think that has more to do with Joan. than
Yeah, like, well, I don't know. The Dunsmuir's family had a lot of problems, but when you walk into there, there is energy, but it's a warm energy. I've never felt dark and menacing. I mean, maybe it's different when it's closed, but also the Bruce, the director,
yeah.
is that his
John.
John? No,
John.
who's Bruce then?
Bruce is the historical guy.
Who did we talk to?
We talked to John Hughes.
John. Okay, he is trying to push for more community and embracing, and so there's things like the a drag show that they did. And so I think just more positive energies, just so when you walk into this castle, you can feel the warmth. Like there was obviously like one Dunsmuir granddaughter, I think it was, who was um we because the times are different, she had challenges. We don't know what those challenges were. Like, was it mental illness? Was she just ADHD? Maybe she was autistic. We don't know. So like the family does have tragedy, but you just don't feel it in the castle. You feel kind of a warmth. Like it just feels so comfortable. So like I went there I had a couple of birthdays I was really depressed, and I went there like 2 or 3 years in a row, and it just really made my birthday that much better, even though I've been there so many times, just because it was so nice. And the woman who runs the gift shop, golden.
Golden.
You're beautiful. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
No, Ellie or Elfie, sorry. Elfie, the drag show that they did, they talked about Elfie a bit. And Elfie was
So, because of the time,
very interesting person.
because of the times, we don't know what she would have identified as, but she might possibly have been
Trans.
non-binary or transgender.
Yeah.
But because you couldn't be that, so she would dress in men's clothes. She would do poker
and drink and smoke and gamble, but the other side of her was she was a composer and composed some jazz type songs and some symphonies with people throughout the world, and she died rather horribly, I think.
I can't remember how she passed.
She was killed in downtown, from what I heard.
I don't know if that's possibly how she died. I don't remember, and I apologize.
We'll have to research it and find out.
Yeah, I'll eventually like do a deep dive and do all the family, because I'm doing this multicultural history, and so I kind of just need because they would have intersected with some of these people. But
now, even the Dunsmuirs, who are white by physical features, were considered to be people of color because they were Scottish.
Yeah, so what a lot of people don't know, because like I grew up in the States, and I was taught some multicultural history, but it's little bit. So but I'm a giant nerd, so I have to read and watch everything. Um Up until after World War II, Italians, Irish, and Scottish were considered equivalent to people of color. Um um they would be allowed, like HBC would let them be officers and whatnot. Even some Scottish kings kept their title by name only. But it was kind of the thing, like we're like, oh, you're Scottish, or okay, like because they weren't a British, the British, like they were still British citizens, but so it just goes to show, like, so like even the people who were like the white founding fathers, they weren't actually like I don't want to say ruling class, that's not right, but they weren't like the
They weren't well, in truth, it would be the the upper echelon. They weren't considered royalty
I
or
just want to say Robert
the-
Dunsmuir, so he worked in the mine. So like he was a wealthy guy, but he earned his boots. So like that's like it just goes to show history is far more complicated than we think of.
now his son fought against the head tax for the Chinese people in Victoria. Um, now
But that was
there's
because
two sides.
they wanted cheap
They
labor.
wanted cheap labor.
Yeah.
That's true, but he actually left office because of it.
Oh,
So
here's a picture of Maria that I love. I love Maria. She's such a badass. So there's Maria. Yeah. She is a badass and I love her. So I love this book. You really have to read it if you live in the West Coast. Even though it focuses on Victoria, like a lot of these people were traveling the routes with HBC and whatnot.
well, it's really it's synonymous with the history of the West.
Yeah, yeah. Like because for a long time we didn't know who belonged to what. Like Fort Vancouver, which was in Astoria, England, just a little bit further down the road, the Northwest Company, I think it was the Northwest Company, but the Americans built a fort. And so eventually HBC was like, screw this, we're going to Victoria. I think it was Douglas who actually excuse me, sorry, the pop's making me burpy. That moved all of the like kind of the hubbub to Victoria. So I'm still finishing the book. Like I think I'm talking next about Chinatown. And it shows the original Chinatown.
Which is much bigger than what it is now.
Yeah, they say someone said we have the biggest Chinatown.
We had the biggest Chinatown.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Like people keep saying, and I was like, it's the smallest Chinatown I've ever. What are you talking about? And so I think it must be. I'm still reading about it. Oh yeah, like Chandun, Victoria's Chinese Flying School. I can't wait for that. There's a picture here. Look, oh shit, I lost my page. That's okay. Look at that. How cool is that? It's kind of hard to see on a crappy camera, but
Is that a woman?
yes, it is.
A woman pilot. That's cool.
So I really love this book. May, your writing is awesome. I can't wait to find out if you've written anything else. I'm excited to see what else you've written. Great storyteller. Love all the photos. Okay, so we got 20. We're just doing a short live stream today because we're doing our first volunteer job since I was in high school. For me, I don't know. I think you did the Victoria.
I did the
What's it called? Not the parade, the pageant.
the tattoo,
The tattoo.
military tattoo.
So I'm a little bit nervous, but they're cool. They let us volunteer together, so we can be terrified together.
We're gonna be directing traffic.
Yeah, that's gonna be. Yeah, he's gonna be the parking lot guard. I'm just gonna guard the drop off zone because that's where I feel better. So, yeah. Um, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I want us to relax and get some good sleep because we're basically going to be out all day because it's the queer and trans market. So many good vendors. It looks like it's going to be awesome, and I love just what the city is doing. And I think it goes with our topic as well: protect trans kid, protect everybody. You have a right to live.
Well,
let's make it clear. I'm Parasornium. We are pro trans people.
yes.
So if you don't like that, you can leave. We're not obsessed with what bathrooms people use. We couldn't care less what bathroom they want to use. Like, God's sakes. Like, Oh no! A book about a guy being gay. This so bad. Like seriously, Alberta, get over yourself. Like, oh, the Bible's gonna stay on the shelf, but we're gonna take off the book about being gay. I'm sorry. The Bible is far more inappropriate for children than that. You know, like there's a book that's literally just about gender identity, and it's to help kids.
Uplifting and
Well,
yeah,
it's to help kids understand because they're confused, right? Like, well, what is asexual? What is non-binary? What is trans? Like when you're a kid,
yeah. But
and they're like, oh, you can't have that.
the thing is, they're adding words to help kids figure out their path, figure out who they are.
Yeah, so we're getting off topic,
Yeah,
but yeah, the other one, what is the lovely Chinese Canadian who did the all the
Lily Chow.
Lily Chow. Her books are really good. They can be hard to find, so check all your local bookstores, your local libraries. Which this is off topic again, but come on, Indigo. Chat like you say you're Canadian. We're Canadian, and like I have to go through Thrift Books, which is an American company, but shout out to Thrift Books. They're an independent company that's still pretty cool, and they have free shipping for people who are in the States, and they're pretty good for prices. But I have to go to Thrift Books to get a book from Nova Scotia because you, Indigo, a multi-million-dollar Canadian company, can't buy books from an independent little Nova Scotian publisher and bring them here. Like, but there's Indigos in Nova Scotia, but I can't get a Nova Scotian book here.
Uh,
Come on. So, anyways, so Lily Chow, look for your local library, and
I spoke to her several times. She's a beautiful person.
yeah, she's since passed. So we're sending to the family. I'm so sorry for your loss. We greatly appreciate all the interactions we had with her. We if you go to our is it on YouTube now?
Yes.
If you go to YouTube, we weren't able to get the Zoom work. So what Lily did is she wrote out answers to all the questions. So I read her answers and then put in a little bit of historic context in as well. But I clearly tried to put what she said and what I added just so you can know.
Mhm.
And it's a good like introduction to Chinese Canadian history in
Yes.
BC. It'll kind of get you your bearings, but it goes so much deeper. Like there's a book at the library that's just about the Chinese Canadian history of Cumberland up island.
Well, there's also Chinese indigenous communities as well
Yeah,
that
there's a
are still
really
struggling
yeah,
with
there's
with.
I
Uh,
if you're in BC, Knowledge Channel has a really lovely documentary about a man who's Chinese who married an indigenous woman and their kind of struggle because, you know, they were an interracial couple and like women who married outside of the tribe would lose their status, which and I think it's some places that still
it
happens. Like
still happens. Yeah,
we're
it's
not
still a
gonna
law in the books.
we're not gonna make any comments about indigenous politics because it's not our place, but I feel like a woman shouldn't lose her status because she fell in love with someone. But then again, it's
I think they recently rescinded
I hope
that
so.
in a number of places. So
Yeah. So trying to think what else. What else can we talk about? There's a lot where so like our name is Parasornium, and so you think, oh, we're gonna talk about witchcraft and stuff, and you might ask, well, why do you study history and stuff like that?
yeah,
And the reason is so no matter what you practice, whether you're Christian, atheist, Wiccan, or folk magic, it does not operate in a bubble. You're not in a bubble, right? And so you can study all the herbology you want, but you're not you to really understand your faith, you have to look beyond the faith, right? It's like um it's like Stephanie Quick has made some really good interference, or has made comments, and I kind of uh made some comments in agreement with her, like you're going to go look for Sasquatch in the woods that is burning because of climate change. Or, you're going to say, well, I believe in fairies who are nature spirits while, like, data centers are sucking all the water. Climate change, history, women's rights, it's all connected.
Interconnected.
Yeah, like I think it's so hard to really explain it. It's something that I've kind of just naturally come to understand as I talk to different people. Aiden Crawford.
Aiden Crawford. Yeah.
Aiden Crawford kind of set it off for us because AJ asked, what do you think is the biggest thing Indigenous youth are facing today? And he was talking about climate change and creating a community where they could live together. And it kind of started this rabbit hole, going down this rabbit hole for me, that, like, you know, spiritual beliefs isn't just about magic and folklore and Bigfoot. It goes deeper. It's about us and our community and, like,
It's
the
part of who we
history.
are.
Yeah, and the history, like, you know, um the land has history, like, what was he? So Brandon Storr was talking about a movie that had filmed somewhere on the mainland in BC, towards the mountains, towards Revelstoke. And he was talking about um where they filmed it, the land is kind of like spooky, and I can't remember the history of the land, but he was talking about, like, basically, like, the land holds memory, or the land remembers, or things kind of stick with the land. And, like, it's hard, like, in my
Spirit of
head,
place.
I understand it, but these concepts are so foreign to settlers, to white people, to average people, right? And we're so disconnected from nature because manifest destiny, conquer nature. We created these stories where the forest became a thing of fear. Like, all these stories, like, don't go into the woods. The evil witch who's gonna eat you is in the woods. We turned Baba Yaga into this child eating evil witch. And I love Madame Pemita because in the book she's like, well, no, dear, I'm going to put you in, if you don't change, I'm going to put you into my oven and transform you. It's, not that you're going to be eaten and changed, you're going to be
Transformed.
it's
It's an initiation.
yeah, it's basically, you're not listening, so I'm going to push you into the fire and really make you have an initiation.
Basically, think of taking ayahuasca and peyote. It's
Yeah,
that type of
it's really
experience.
hard for us to put into words, but it's like you have to study history and folklore, folklore, and
Culture, because the reality is the world is a melting pot. Um, the, the reality is colonialism is racism, and it was developed on the idea that someone was beneath the ruling class, and so they had the right to take the land. That's not really the case.
And it's interesting because, like, wild men, you can see in history where the forest kind of becomes this thing to fear, and wild men are these bestial things that you have to fear.
Well,
And
that's
so,
what
like,
Sasquatch.
you look at Krampus, and, like, you're like, and he's this kind of thing that scares children, and it's like, and they're like, when you look back, well, Krampus isn't that old. Like,
No.
15th or 16th
Century.
century. And so it's like, okay, but what came before him then? So like, and we always have stories of
Before him, there would have been horned god,
the Alpine boys who are tricksters. We always have tricksters, but you
the
really see
Ashlats, and yeah.
you really see when we start to demonize the natural worlds. Like you have to be
Well,
afraid of the wolf.
look at Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga was a nature goddess that, because the local people wouldn't.
Well, we don't know what she was. Let's be very clear. You actually don't know what she was.
Well, according
No. You don't actually know what she is. So to be clear, we don't know who she was because the Iron Curtain
erased all of that, yeah,
almost all Slavic folklore. And so what is happening now is they're reclaiming it and
and
trying to
rebuilding.
rebuilding it from the fragments that they've been able to find. But it's people who can speak who can read the language, because so Hungarian, Bulgarian,
What about
Ukrainian. Mokash is the same. Like there's a lot about Mokash we don't know about. So it's kind of this kind of rebuilding of Slavic folklore. So when we talk about the history of Victoria, it's important as the whole. So it's very hard to explain. Just trust us in this. Like we're helping you grow as a human being. And it helps you connect with the place. Like I love Amelia Douglas now. Like, love her, love her. I love all of the black colonists. All the women were absolute badasses.
Well, they were faced with
Absolute
a wild frontier at
Well,
the
we say
beginning, and then
almost all of them, the women. I think almost all of the women were born as slaves or daughters of slaves. Like, so they basically had to come from not just from nothing, but below nothing. It's the thing called like that's what equity is. So the difference between equality and equity is I recognize that we both don't have the same starting pad, but I recognize you deserve the right to be lifted up so that we are equal. So that is what equity is. I recognize that someone from a different neighborhood may be down here for whatever reason, like their rent is more, they're struggling more, and I recognize that they have basic human right to be brought up here at least. So that is what equity is, and that's why we say diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, instead of equality now. So it's complicated. Like I know it seems like we're going off topic, but it's like we're
it's
trying
all
to
connected. It's
yeah.
really hard. That's why we discuss so many varied topics on our channel, and
Yeah,
that's why
it's
we have
like
a hard time with the algorithm.
it's like studying tectonic strain theory and Michael Persinger. It kind of puts this four-dimensional understanding of like UFOs and encounters and stuff, like um and again I am struggling to find the words, but you kind of understand like the famous oracle in Greece. I can't remember what area it was. I know people are screaming, no, it was this one, how can you forget? They actually think that wasn't gas, but she was actually experiencing like electromagnetic
Oracle of
pulses.
Delphi.
Yeah, Delphi. That she was experiencing electromagnetic pulses, because what Persinger found out is it affects the brain in the way that the Oracle of Delphi was telling futures. Um so that kind of helps you, and like yeah, like Joshua Cutchin, his books, they go deeper than UFOs. They go deeper than fairies. Like they go in. So
Him and Timothy Renner really kind of expound on the paranormal phenomena as something more than just, oh, you have a Bigfoot, you have a UFO, you have a ghost, and none of them are related to each other.
yeah, we're also like we've been talking on Patreon how the idea of paranormal itself is actually a colonial term. So as we're going back and we're learning about multiculturalism, we're learning about indigenous people, we're realizing that these paranormal encounters were part of our everyday lives and they had meaning. And so I'm like, well, what is paranormal? What is abnormal? What is abnormal about it? Like, you know,
Beyond normal. Yeah.
yeah, like what is like,
See,
and so we're kind of now we're that's what we're kind of doing. We're doing a lawn project where we're going to go back to the origins of the wild man, but I have to read um a lot. So that's also why it takes a very long time for us to talk about things is, excuse me, we actually do the research. So we do the research and it
well,
takes time.
show them the research for
No,
for for
it,
uh city city and color. Just scroll a bit and show them that. Okay, when I'm saying she takes lots of notes,
yeah.
see, that's all notes.
But it helps me because um um
It gives you
I can
organization.
control F and look for things, or I can go to one of my outlines and find things.
So this is why, like she said, like Sarah said, it takes so long for us to get stuff out because the amount of notes that she takes just on that book is another book of notes. And you don't just research the book, you research
Well, and
things
not only
in it.
that, I go into the bibliography and I add the bibliography to my book wish list so that I can go. And funny enough, um, um, I found soundtracks of Stone Age soundtracks from that. I want to say it was an Irving Finkel book, but there was a book that had listed that as a source or a in their bibliography. So I went and got it, and it ended up being this big thing about acoustical archaeology and changed the way I see ancient people, which we do have the book club. We will release it, but hopefully Bridget gets back to us. Bridget's episode
Yeah, people.
Cheme Wavy.
Again, sorry.
I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm still learning to
Learning how to pronounce the name.
yeah,
Yeah.
they all have very beautiful complex languages and here we have so many different indigenous tribes that trying to remember how each tribe pronounces things, it takes a lot of practice. So,
It's kind of like in Nova Scotia where we have people in Bridgewater that talk like Bostonians. We have people in Advocate that speak Old English, and we have people in the Annapolis Valley that speak Acadian French, and and it there's all kinds of mix of accents and stuff all over that one province. It's the same with the indigenous people. There's like 506 different communities in Turtle Island, which is North America.
yeah. So, yeah, so that's that book. We can stay on a little bit longer.
Yeah,
There's 4 people on
yeah.
now, so might okay, so I talked about that. Yeah, we're also reading DMT and Spirit Molecule for the book club. Book club is as long as it takes me to read the books. This one's taking a while. Um
It's a big book. It's
no, it's a big book, but it's really easy to read. Strassman, Dr. Rick Strassman, I think
yeah,
his first name is. I'm just because I've been typing the notes. When I quote him, I put Strassman, so I remember the author's last name much better than I remember the first name. Um, he's really good at explaining the medical stuff so you can understand it. Like when he's talking about, well, we did this dose of DMT on a patient, he'll explain it means he'll say it's point something something of this, and he goes, so it's 1/16 of, like, he understands that, like, you're not a medical doctor or a psychiatrist who does medical stuff. He does a really good day. Like, there's a whole thing where he just talks about the um one of the molecules in the brain or the chemicals, and, like, does an excellent, so
Our brain
it's
creates
very
DMT.
easy to read. Like, if you're teaching your kids, like, 5th grade earth science, you can understand this book. Like, you just need, like, the tiniest bit of silent science literacy to understand it. And so I just finished all of the build up, the, like, how he got interested. Oh my god, the poor guy, like, because he is the first person who was awarded the approval to do DMT experiments. He had to go through these long, long hoops, just dancing around and around and around and around, calling this person, this person, this person, like, just so he actually, separate from this book, he created this, like, binder of information and be like, "Hi, do you want to do experiments with the DMT? Great, here's the process I did to get approval. Please take it." And so I love that he did that for other researchers. So now we're going to go into the experiments and what they felt. So I have, for everyone who's like, yeah, LSD and acid, I have bad news for you. DMT is far more about therapy than it is about, like, a tripping and seeing machine elves and stuff like that. I think if anything comes from this experiment, it's we're going to be able to do therapy for people with mental problems, possibly sad, possibly depression. So,
Possibly PTSD as well.
yeah, so the pineal gland is very, very resistant to medication, which is can be really hard because they want to they think they want to do therapies there. And the reason why they think it's so hard is that we think that's where natural DMT comes from. And so it would not, he does a great, this isn't exact words, but this is basically how he describes it. And it's just a great explanation. It's like, it would not be useful for us to be tripping on DMT all day while we're trying to go about our day. So that is why there's so much protection in the pineal gland. So we're not constantly going, yeah, while we're trying to drive our car or do our jobs or look after our kids. And so there's this kind of protection that only when certain things are right will DMT release. And so DMT is almost like,
It's a survival
I think
molecule.
it's like a survival thing. When you're in extreme stress, it's like, okay. So it makes me wonder if that's why, like, I don't know. Some people say they're euphoric after high stress. I'm not. I'm just, like, feel like I've run a marathon, but so yeah, we'll do a book club on that. And so the book clubs are open to the public, but we're behind on episodes. And I don't want to just release them and them to be bad quality because I'm so busy. So we're trying to catch up, but we're so busy all the time now. We're going to different markets and doing
We're
different
doing
things.
community
Yeah,
work,
so,
so
and I'm trying to get another job in my field. So yeah. So if you join Patreon though, all of our book clubs are right on there.
yeah, as well as raw footage and behind the scenes and
Yeah, so we just finished Vincent's thing. So we have how many how long was the phone calls from the dead?
was an hour and 30 minutes.
So we'll have 2 episodes to go through that, and then how long was Stone Age?
I think about the same.
So there'll be 4 episodes before that we have to get out before we even get to DMT and the spirit molecule. But if you're in the Patreon, you
You'll
get
have
a
access.
Zoom link to when we talk about book club, and then it gets published. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah.
I think
Oh, I need to I'm so busy next week. So the following week, I'll probably start figuring out getting stuff on the website to sell. It's just because we make so much artwork, it is cluttering our house,
Yeah.
and it'll help us make some extra money for Parasorium. The shipping will be a freaking nightmare, and I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about that. There are no more tariffs, so I see a lot of Canadian businesses aren't shipping to the States anymore. Tariffs are legal now,
Yes, but he's still doing it.
but they're still charging
They're
it.
still trying to charge it, and until the court battle is over and they say you cannot do this ever again.
So I don't think there'll be tariffs when we send stuff, but we will put a warning on the website before you buy it that like there may be tariffs because people don't listen. Um it's just artwork and stuff, and I have uh Polaroid photos that are just kind of fun. The problem is I have to find a protector to put it in, so to send it to you. And those will be like $40 each just because they're one of a kind and just kind of gimmicky and stuff. But I will post what the photos look like. But it's gonna take us a while to build a website because we have to put an AI blocker on
Yeah, everything.
everything.
Yeah. Um, we are not going to use AI for our shop at all. All the photos and
We're not going to use AI at all because they're being unethical. So
yeah,
there is a way to make AI that is ethical and that
and
does not
carbon,
drain the water and does not drain the electricity, but companies are choosing not to do that. So we're just not going to engage with AI
and the
because
process of destroying books to create.
oh yeah. So okay, I need to clear something up. This is good that we stayed longer. I'm tired of these tech bros. Okay, libraries, Internet Archive, Libraries and Archives of Canada do not destroy books when they scan them. Okay? They have very expensive machines that can scan some of the most rare and delicate books in the world. Okay. I've seen at University of Victoria in this blackout room, they have a giant scanner that allows them to scan paintings in a way that does not damage them. They use special lights. Okay. Those are tech bros being like, well, libraries do it. No, they don't. No, they don't. Okay. And then I saw someone be like, well, libraries throw out books for pulp or recycled pulp. And I was like, okay, number one, books are not recyclable. So if they were doing that, they would be going into the dumpster. Number two, libraries almost never throw out books. Okay?
They sell them off
They
or they give
either
them away.
sell them off for charity or for the library. Our library gives some away. Sometimes they donate them to charities.
And now because of our uh the little library, the
Oh, we have free libraries.
free
Yeah.
libraries.
So do not listen to that. That is just tech bros being like, but the libraries. No, no. Okay.
Now,
And I want to say this on top of it. Google Scholar. Okay, I normally don't defend Google. Google Scholar does not destroy books. They borrow books from the library, gently scan them, and return them.
and they give a
So
copy to the library
stop
as well of the
trying to
digital.
throw libraries and archives under the rug to defend your BS decision. Okay? Okay. Yeah, let's just make that clear. Okay? We don't destroy books. You're just lazy and you want to save a nickel. You don't want to hire staff. And it's all like, well, they're destroying it. So now that they don't have to, it follows copyright or whatever. Okay, then someone else said, well, then the books are up. No, these machines are using the books to learn. The book information is gone.
Yeah. And so these companies have the ability to manipulate that data and twist it from what the book was. And so the original book may be gone. But that being said, the majority of the practices they do, they buy book lots for cheap. And basically, it's overstock
They try to say, well, these books were meant for landfill.
Publishers.
Excuse me. Some of the books were meant for landfill. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of them are like from charities that just have too much. Okay.
Yeah.
However,
some were rare.
Some were requests from mysterious people from used bookstores. And used bookstores owner were like, what is going on? Why is there something? And it was because those people tracked where it was going that we found out what was happening.
Yeah.
So stop it. So I know we've gone from the multicultural Victoria into this, but it stems the way, to reason. It's like, the way our conversations go.
This book.
Also, books like these, we want to just say this, okay? So to bring it back to this, okay? And Brennan Storr says this all this time about his A Strange Little Place. These books are made with the help of libraries and archives. Brennan Storr talks about how much time he spent in BC archives getting information.
Yeah.
This, I guarantee when I look back here, it's going to be Saanich archives and BC archives. So think about this. This is about the multicultural history of Victoria. And some AI company comes in and buys up all the historic books about Saanich, and then they're just gone. It's just gone. It's just a name on a headstone in a cemetery, and you don't remember who it is because the information is gone. So it's not okay. And like, I'm not going to say who they are, but I'm part of a library association, and they're trying to help librarians find ways to use AI in a useful way. And I love that they're trying that, but with the way things are going, it is not within our ethics to engage with AI anymore. AI has done things. Oh, what was that?
That was a glitch.
That was weird. Okay, we're still live.
Okay.
So AI has broken the ethics that people who work in libraries are expected to follow. They are racist towards people of color. They destroy content and block content based on what they're trying to push or what your pay rate, your subscription rate is. And now they're destroying books, which the only people in history who have destroyed books are fascists. So that looks real good on AI. And they're like, well, we're not doing that. Okay, I'm sorry. If you look in history, it's fascism, 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 fascism.
And we're living in probably one of the more fascist times in world history.
Yeah, there is never reason to destroy books that isn't suspect.
Yeah.
It's not just about money. They want to control the information.
They wanted to control the narratives so that.
And this book shows why it's important to protect knowledge, because this is all about the multicultural history of Victoria, which is important because it shows, imagine being a young woman and seeing Amelia. Well, they don't have a picture of her in her moccasins, but imagine hearing about Amelia Douglas. I think she was 15 on a canoe in the wilds of Alberta and BC. Like, there's a really good story where her and her horse I can't remember, but they ended up in the river and they were being swept away. And Olivia held onto that saddle with dear life. And then she was able to get a rock. And the horse handler was able to get both her and her horse to safety. And this was just maybe 2 weeks after she had lost a baby. And I'm like, dear Lord, that woman is a
Tough.
freaking badass. Oh, look, it glitched again. That is crazy.
Okay. Yeah, our camera maybe
I guess Amelia Douglas is listening.
something.
She's a badass. So, like, yeah, so, like, these books are important. Or imagine being a person of color and you hear about these amazing, amazing people who came to the wilds of, they had faced slavery and racism and hardship, and they rebuilt their lives 2, 3, 4 times. And then they get to Vancouver Island and rebuild again. And like there's a couple ones they have a farm for a really long time, and then they have to rebuild again, and they just keep doing it, and it's like it's very inspiring. So we have to protect knowledge. So I wonder if she has. Well, here's a thing about her.
Go ahead.
May Q Wong grew up in Montreal but has lived in Victoria since 1980. She worked in the provincial public service for 17 years and developed policies and programs for senior, youth, and communities. As a 20-year volunteer with the YMYWCA, May was a spokesperson for girls and women. Retired since 2004, May wrote a memoir about how discriminatory Canadian laws impacted her family. She's been married to Michael Cockerell since 1981, and they enjoy traveling and exploring different cultures through languages, foods, and crafts. At age 59, May started training for a black belt in Kempo karate.
Cool.
May is a badass, and she's currently a third-degree brown belt.
Black belt.
Brown belt.
Brown belt.
Yeah, so she's working her
Oh,
way up.
she's
Yeah,
just
training for a black
she's
belt.
one pip away from black
Yeah.
belt.
May has a BA from McGill University and master's in public administration from the University of Victoria. She's a founding member of the Mazatlan Writers Group and is a member of the Canadian Authors Association. So May is a badass.
She emulates the women that she talked about in the book.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we really need stories of women like this right now, because there is a lot of people trying to shut down women and take their rights away.
And yes, we hear about it in the States, but it's also happening here in
Oh,
Canada
yes,
and
it
in
is.
Europe and
Yeah.
other places as well.
Yeah.
So
Australia's having a really bad time with it now too.
particularly indigenous.
Oh, if Heather's here or is watching this, hi Heather,
Heather.
we miss you. We love you. You
We-
make us laugh every day.
Yes.
Need to go to Australia so I can just listen to you talk and laugh. Heather.
Take us on a tour of an abandoned building.
Go hither with Heather.
Yeah, come here there with Heather.
She's so funny and so cheeky. So funny. She makes us laugh every time we watch her videos.
But she also tells history.
Oh yeah, she does the history.
She tells the history, and she goes to spooky places, abandoned places. So it's fun. And then she's cheeky, and it makes it better when she's cheeky about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, we can't stay on much longer because we
have
time. We need time to wind down because we have a very long day.
We have a long day tomorrow. We're gonna be.
I'm really nervous. It's my first time volunteering since I was a teenager, and I used to love it, but I stopped doing it for a long while because I had a long healing journey to go on. And so I've been feeling. So we went to Strange Realities in 2024, and I was probably the most extroverted I had ever been. Like, I immediately hugged everyone and talked to everyone, and I've slowly kind of since then been building on that. And I was like, I did work site visits last semester, and or 2 semesters now ago, I guess.
Yeah.
and we went to high school, and it was really nice to see how different Canadian high schools were and how it's changed. And I wasn't angry anymore. Like, I'm still upset about the things I went through, but I wasn't angry anymore. And I realized I've I've gone to that place of healing. Like, I've reached that place of healing. I'm still upset, but I'm not envious and like super angry anymore. And I'm starting to realize that the journey I went on taught me specific things. And I've always take the time when young people or people who are, maybe struggling, I take the time to listen to them and appreciate them and help them. And so this volunteering, then I was like, we need
The
to
next step.
start giving back to the community. So this is the next step. So I fixed my heart, as David Lynch has said. So now it's time to start giving back. Yeah. So, and we really like this community, and we got to meet the lovely people on Zoom who are hosting the Queer and Trans Market, and
They're great people.
they're gorgeous, beautiful people. And so I'm like, I'm really glad this is the first one.
It's tomorrow,
at
11 till 6.
at Banfield Park in Victoria, BC. Lovely people. I think it's going to be a really lovely, happy atmosphere. Um, Next week is a research Q&A for Patreons only.
Yeah.
We were supposed to talk about like geology and dreaming because I wanted to talk about Admiral Byrd, but it's going to take a lot more research. So I might actually work on teaching you how to research better. I don't know how it's going to be on Zoom, so I guess I can just share my screen and just kind of teach you. I might do that. I also, oh God, this makes me so mad. There's this Time Life book. It's like Unknown Encounters or something. I went through and I took exquisite notes and labeled everything by like state and type of encounter, and it's just gone. And I looked at my notes for Weird Wisconsin, and it's not there. It's just gone. It's gone. I went through every single Google Doc. It's gone. So I don't know what happened. And I was like, oh, I have to read this again and take notes again. So maybe we'll pull it out. Maybe I'll start reading that. I don't know. So we'll figure something out. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
We have to wind down so we can get some good rest tonight.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. As always.
I am Green.
We'll have the Q&A next week.
Yes.
For Patreons. So
I'm gonna try to force a live stream every month rather than disappearing every time when the semester gets hard, but I can't promise that. We might just have to, when I have a break, when I have a reading break, sneak one in. Depending. Sometimes my teachers give me these huge projects and schedule is like, oh, you have a reading break, so you have 2 weeks to work on this. So
they expect more out of you when you have a break.
Like, people are like, I don't have a lot of tests for this programs, but I have a lot of ethics and projects and group projects. So it's very intense. And it's funny, like, I'm not writing that many essays, but I'm doing other kind of complex projects. Yeah, so we'll see if we can. If not, what will we do?
What I can do, I can do some research and do like a short live.
Yeah, we might do that, or we might just pop in for an hour and talk about what we're doing.
Do like a fireside type chat.
Well, not a fireside. We don't want to rip off. Yeah.
Greg and Dana.
Yeah.
We'll have a chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
I don't have
a good day, guys.
Good night.
Good night.